Testing.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, we will call the January meeting to order at 7:01. It is January 4th. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I noticed that.
Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on a non-agenda item? Non-agenda? Thank you.
Let me give you just a little background of what I'm coming from. Over the last 2 or 3 years, we've had a certain segment of Bartonville that has tried to take over some of the government functions and such, and don't believe in what we think Bartonville is. Over the next year, maybe 2, we're going to be adding somewhere around 100 new families. What I would like to propose or suggest is that somehow we as a city come up with a flyer that describes what Bartonville is about the 2 acres, septic system, not sewer, things like this. And that information be distributed to people who are looking to buy into Bartonville, instead of come into Bartonville, buy, and oh gosh, I don't like this, let's change it. An example, in Argyle, there's a subdivision out there who the builder is selling to people. Argyle. 3/4 of it is in Denton. And these people don't know it because they're not being told. And so they go in there, they buy a house, they end up selling. So in order to try to cut down the problem of people moving in, not really understanding what we're about, and then causing problems. So what I would wonder if there's some way we could come up with a flyer. I've talked to a realtor and they suggested going to a broker because they dictate what should be told and what should be described to the sellers or buyers. So.
Do that too, but we can't force any realtor to tell anyone anything. And it's really up to the buyer to do their research. And by them not doing it, we get hurt, yes, but I don't think we can force anyone to put out flyers in every home that's sold.
I'm not asking to force them, I'm asking to ask them.
Don't we have something that we give to new?
I am unaware. I was thinking about, as Larry was talking, creating a community profile. I do not know that we have a community profile that could be a front and back page.
Seemed like we
That
had something that
be
we passed
okay.
out.
Not since
I
I've been
don't
here, I
know.
haven't seen anything. So if I'll go search now that we've had this, comment, and if not, then it's really not that difficult. I've done it a number of times to create a community profile page.
Even a link on
And you can do both, where you've got a printout. If somebody comes in, says, I'm looking in the town, what information do you have? And then again, you could have a PDF link on the website for them to find.
That's a great idea.
I haven't looked at that magazine that we have, the Bartonville magazine. Does it have anything in it?
That one, it needs to be updated. So that may be what you're talking about, Ralph, and that's the one.
Yeah, but I was thinking that we had some kind of pamphlet.
So there's a magazine that does
Maybe
have the
years ago.
businesses, but it's about 2 or 3 years out now, I think. So it probably needs a great deal of update. So I'll talk to Tammy and see what we have, and then we'll come forward with something to maybe propose to P and Z to go on to council and then make it an official document.
But the realtor's not our friend.
No.
No.
They're
no,
not going
They
to
wanna
present
sell it.
same information if something that might hinder them making a sale,
They're
they're
not
not
gonna
gonna
tell
present it
They're
to the
not gonna
homeowner.
tell it. Yeah, if this homeowner thinks, oh, I'm gonna get an Argyle School District buying here because it says Argyle, the realtor's not gonna tell them it's Denton. They're gonna sell it.
What the realtor told me is that the broker has the authority to sit there and talk to the realtors and say, this is what I want y'all to do when you're trying to sell a home.
But they won't do it because all they're interested in is selling.
You're not 100%.
The realtors I know.
I'm not that familiar with realtors, but I'm
do
just
the
talking
best
about
thing.
what this lady.
Yeah.
Since, since this is a non-agenda item, I don't think that we should be discussing this. I think your point's well taken. Obviously, everybody else thinks so too, so I will direct Thad to look into that and then we'll take it from there. Okay. I was making notes on stuff. What did I do with my, regular item is 1, and that is discussion and review of the 2022 comprehensive land use plan, section 2. Oh, sorry, I skipped the minutes. Any comments about the minutes? I think that there is one thing that needs to be adjusted just a little bit. When we corrected Ralph's spelling last time, that moved us to not approval as written, but approval as corrected. And in the minutes, it says approval period. So it needs to be approval as corrected. And that's it. Okay, now, regular items.
Vote on this.
Pardon me?
Do we have to vote on the minutes? Yeah.
I might as well just have stayed home.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Since the minutes are on our monthly agenda, I think we can talk a little bit about this. Is there a reason why we wouldn't put it on a consent agenda unless there was an issue, so we didn't have to actually vote on it? If it was on a consent agenda and everybody said it's hunky-dory, then it would just be accepted, correct?
Way the council runs their meetings on the consent agenda, we'll have 3 or 4 things and the consent agenda can be approved all at once, but it still takes a motion and a second. So I'm
So it's
guessing,
hardly worth it for us to
I'm
do it.
guessing that's why it's done this way, or has been historically done this way, is we don't have 3 or 4 items for y'all to, approve by consent. It's just the one item.
Never mind. It stopped. And that bass or whatever that is. Oh,
No, it was
it's a
very loud
terrible
earlier.
pitch
Yeah.
for me.
It was earlier out here, very loud, like somebody outside sitting with the radio on or something.
Maybe next door at the
I
Bartonville
don't
store, is it
think
over
so.
this way?
Hear it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was there before, even closer.
I'm going to recess for about 2 minutes and go find out what that is. It's just,
There's an
I don't
officer
know.
on Jeter right down by our house,
there's a what?
an officer.
That's right. That it's bass. There's certain
Space.
sounds that just make me sick. And that's one
You
of
said
them.
something I wasn't listening for.
All the time Larry was talking, that was going on.
It is the Bartonville store?
I don't know if Spark was coming from that way.
Could be someone even in Kroger parking lot or something.
I think it's.
That far
He
away?
probably has live music tonight if I were betting. It looked like a pretty big
Getting
crowd.
louder again.
It's, oh. Okay, we'll go back to this meeting at 7:11. Page 1, which is the introduction to the section. I assume everybody has read and gone over that. Is there anything that anybody caught or wanted to discuss?
Gloria, where were you? I'm sorry.
Page 1.
It's page 7 of the plan 42 on this
Okay.
big thing you gave us.
Yes, ma'am.
1 to 3rd paragraph. 4th, there should be apostrophe S after Bartonville. So it's Bartonville's strength and weakness. There's nothing substantive that I saw on that page. How about anybody else? Okay, next page. General conclusions. Comments? Other than the date change,
I don't see any change to be made on it, no.
that 2016 in sentence 2 will need to read
Yeah,
2023.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
The 2022 survey,
Oh,
because that's actually when the survey.
I wrote
came in.
2022 and then. Oh, well, I did that last year. Okay, next page, land use. Physical form of the town. There's probably some good, maybe there's some stuff in here that you could make use of, Thad, when you're dealing with that other item. I don't know, but
There are items, again, that most of these objectives are still relevant.
mhm.
As the town has not completely developed or grown out. So I wouldn't recommend removal of those items, even though some of them may not advance very quickly because we're not looking to have explosive growth, but these are still good guidance measures. The only one I was questioning, and I just thought companion policies and guidelines to assist the review of zoning and development requests. I'm not sure what that one.
But
Which
Number
is that?
1.4, I apologize. Objectives 1.4, develop companion policies. I'm not sure.
I have no idea what that means.
If I don't have any idea and nobody else does, I don't like keeping those things around. Because
yeah, that's
I'm
not,
not,
I didn't understand that at all, because this was my first time looking at this comp plan, and that one, I didn't know what develop companion policies meant. I don't know what that was.
I can see it in
If I
larger
were-
cities perhaps where you've got, again, massive P and Z that meets twice a month and all those things going on. Maybe there are companion policies that you would want to have, but I found that one a little odd in the way it read, and I'm not expecting to develop any companion policies. Again, the comprehensive plan and the land use plan is really the guidebook. I don't know that I need another companion policy out there.
I just thought it was like subsets, like if we had a policy on a setback, then we would have A, B, C. That's what I read it as, policies that defined something that I don't know. That's how I read it, but I don't see where we need to state that.
I'd say
Right?
take it out.
So your suggestion is strike it?
That is my recommendation, but again, P and Z, this is y'all's plan, but I have read it a number of times.
The rest of you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else on,
Like 1.5, I say we leave in, amend the town's existing zoning and subdivision regulations. That's already done as we go. But I'd say leave it in. So if anything does alter or change, that they always look to
Yeah,
the,
I mean, we occasionally change something.
Yep.
That makes sense.
so that would be one that, again, it may not be something that we do every day, but it's still a good guiding policy that I think we should keep that one in there.
and policy wise, we generally, once we go through this process in the comp plan, we do exactly that, go through the ordinances to make sure they match.
Exactly.
So. Okay. Page 10. This goal is oddly written, I think. I don't know if it's A-okay or not. I'll be interested to hear your input on that. Provide for residential development that will protect and nurture Bartonville's rural lifestyle while accommodating a variety of housing densities and styles that meet the varying housing needs and desires of the citizenry. I'm thinking we already have that done. We have 1/4 acre lots, we have 1 acre lots, we have 2 acre lots, we have 5 acre lots. We have stuff in between 2 and 5, and then we have big pieces. Is that how you would define what that means?
I would say, yes, that's how I would define it. The value in keeping it in there is so, like we were discussing, it still sets that policy. It talks about the various densities. We could expand it, but it says, for example, rural and semi-rural. You know, when you talk about those densities, as opposed to someone, if you remove it completely and someone comes in and thinks you're looking for apartments or, 5,000 square foot lots, again, we might have a 2.3 in there if you so desire, but something that more clearly defines it. But this one, it does read funny, Gloria, but I would say keeping it in there so people understand the land use plan is going to be the driving force. And when we're talking about varying housing needs, that's probably more of a planning terminology so that when people see it, they see that there is a variety. It doesn't mean 5,000 square foot lots, and it doesn't mean, 32 units per acre apartments, but there is still variety provided for in the land use plan.
That's
So
what I hoped that meant.
Can we not add to it though?
that's what I
Like,
was, yeah, absolutely.
so what I think we should add to it is we're providing for this development as long as it falls within the guidelines of our plan, of our land use plan. That way it definitely shows someone reading that we're not looking for apartments, we're not looking for high density. We are providing for residential development that will protect and nurture our rural lifestyle that falls within our current land use plan. What do you think? Do you think it's necessary we add that? Because it only uses rural and semi-rural as kind of an example. It doesn't necessarily mean, I don't know.
It made the back of my neck itch when I read that, because that's that apartments and all that stuff is the way it's written.
When you say density, you think of dense.
Is there a way to write it that is that is clear, maybe more clear than this? Because
Open to suggestions. Again, this is something I'm making a note, and if we have some thoughts and ideas, I can massage it and we can bring it back.
Okay.
Again, obviously we'll incorporate all those before you ever recommend on the council as we go through. So you'll get another bite at this one. But if general agreement is we need to create a little more clarity in that one, I'll look for ideas and we'll bounce them off until we find something that works.
good, because that is listed as a goal.
Mhm.
So if it's not written clearly,
Someone else will interpret it differently.
that's right. Thank you, if you'll work on that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Page 10, anything else? Did anything jump out at you, Thad?
And let's see, goal 3. No, because this still speaks to, again, allowing for non-residential development, but only in those nodes where it's already planned for. And again, the corner of 407, Jeter McMakin, and then up at the town center where Marty B's and all of that is. So I think this still provides that guidance with those objectives. And again, it does allow for the limited non-residential along, again, McMakin, Jeter, that area where we've got the rural business designation now.
I don't know if I'm going off the deep end with this or not, but if you look at the land use, and then we have the objectives, and then we have these goals, and the way it's written, it isn't we will provide or we do provide. It just could it be we provide guidance? We provide whatever, saying don't end run around us because we're the ones providing this, meaning the town, not P and Z. I don't know. Maybe it's semantics. Maybe it's because goal 2 makes me uncomfortable. I don't know if there's a better way to do it.
I think what you're looking at is formatting, and this is not unusual for goals and objectives. And when you have a goal like this, it almost always starts with a verb and not with you or I or we, but a verb. And so I think this is formatting, like the other one that you were concerned about. That to me is somebody lifted a boilerplate and perhaps didn't tweak everything. But this is very common for the way a goal is written.
I'm not good at goals.
Well, I don't think anybody really enjoys them. And they have to, it takes some time to understand what a goal is, what an objective is, what all the other things are in it, but it's the way it's written is the right format.
Should we include the fencing issue?
No, not in this.
But on the non-residential, because we're primarily have been talking on the fencing issue related to subdivisions and, some of the larger tracks that maybe front the.
And those are, we're not talking zoning. That's zoning and what you want in zoning as opposed to planning, which is what this is. All right, let's move on to the next page. Four point 3.
Multi-jurisdictional projects. I can't even say it.
Way things run now, we do not multi-jurisdictional with anybody.
Somewhat with the ESD. We were actually, I just was over at the new chief being sworn in. So I was reading this again after we had talked. And so we do have some. Additionally, where Kroger is, we don't get a crime control revenue from that entire corner there or any of that development. So we have received grants and we do keep working with the water district on how we can maybe see more of that money come to Bartonville since it sits in Bartonville. That one may have value. I didn't think it did when we first talked about it, but as I attended the ESD and realized that we do have some, multi-jurisdictional, because I have no control over the ESD.
That also include the county helping us with some of the roads.
That could, yes. So again, if we talk about trying to partner with Denton County, sorry, I lost myself for a moment. I went back in time. Denton County to help with McMakin, those kind of projects, then yes, that would be multi-jurisdictional as well. So I think that one has more value than I originally thought it did, Gloria.
Cost effective certainly falls under anything the county kicks in when we're redoing roads.
Too.
Mhm.
So I know when they get focused on just working out in the county, y'all are part of the revenue source as well, because you pay that county tax just like you pay the town tax. I didn't have anything else on that one.
I know you have something, and so do I under objectives. Go for it. Number 2. Not 5.2, but under 5.1.
It's 5.1 open spaces. In this context, when we're talking about public services, that would typically be parks, trails, et cetera. I would propose striking that from this bullet list under 5.1. Again, discussions with town council have been such that the town is not looking for, even if someone came in and offered 5 acres for a park, we don't have a parks department. So you start expanding the needs of the town. I don't have room for a truck for a parks person, those types of things. It becomes a domino effect where once you go down that path, you want more and you have to expand your government and you have to expand our, costs, which usually means your tax rate goes up. So again, the discussion has been, even in those subdivisions where someone might be willing to donate that the town would not likely accept it.
We've done offered that before and we've always turned them down.
So that would be the value. Again, there's another section we'll talk about in a little bit on open spaces, but under this one, when it's talking about public, I would propose that y'all strike that going forward to council.
Anything else on that page? Okay, page 12. Hang on a second.
This is the big page.
I marked 6.1, number 1. And 6.6. No,
Exactly.
Water district.
That's, and we had talked about that removal of number 1 under 6.1. If y'all are inclined to do so. 6.6, engaging in regional water planning initiatives. I would also say that one is unnecessary. Leaving 6.5 where we coordinate with those agencies. That's again, that I would say leave that one because we do coordinate. But as far as engaging and directing or leading, we don't have a water system. That's another thing. Again, once you take it on, it's yours and you have to maintain it and all that goes with that. And now all of a sudden I need parks and public works.
okay, so is everybody okay with striking 6.1, number 1 and 6.6 under that?
Yes.
Okay,
Goodbye. The only thing I want to make sure I'm going to read, so when we talk about water treatment, we're talking about only from like water sewer lines. Like if someone has a septic, do we not still need something in there for that? Or not, that we need to be able to have standards that we provide? Or is that just going to be part of zoning and I don't know.
Under 6.1 bullet 3, private on-site wastewater collection and treatment. So we still have that.
Covers that.
Yes.
So that would be septic. Okay.
Yes,
'cause
that's
I
our
have written
septic.
Septic under 1.
Yes.
Okay.
I have learned more about septic in the last 6 months than I have in my previous 50 years.
Bet.
okay, page 13.
Six 6.9, from the perspective of impact fees and those type. Typically, you will pay water impact fees, sewer impact fees. Occasionally, you can have transportation impact fees, but that normally is related to whether it's subdivisions or industrial development or big commercial development. Additionally, if we're going to look at impact fees, you have to have an engineering study done to justify those impact fees. They have to be tied to something. So honestly, I don't see the town heading down the path of 6.9 anytime in the near future related to those impact fees, because we'd have to again gauge last time Haslett did it, it cost them $65,000 for the impact study. And it was going to take a lot of fees to actually pay for that study for that math to ever work. But there was a lot of large industrial buildings being constructed, some very large subdivisions, 700 homes, those types of things. So it made sense. Again, so I would say 6.9 is unnecessary in the plan.
What?
We still have a section in here for capital improvement planning as well. And we've talked about the multi-jurisdictional provision of services. This one, again, the way it's written seems boilerplate for impact fees associated with new development. And without a study, we can't do that. So we can't just, beyond our current development fees, we can't go charge additional impact fees to any of the new subdivisions at this point anyway.
And they have tied this up with a ribbon and put a bow on top of it.
A little bit.
So when you initially were speaking about water, you said water, traffic, and what was the other one?
Water, sewer, and transportation, so traffics.
So when they come in and they're going to do it in our town, we have to pay in
No.
order to prove to them that they're affecting us.
No, we already require traffic impact studies
Okay.
from subdivisions or others who come in. And if those improvements are required per the impact study, whether it's a turn lane, additional lanes, a light somewhere, they still have to pay that. But that's different than a normal impact fee, where you're just extracting per lot a fee related to water, sewer, transportation. So it's a different mechanism. We already have those handled through the development regulations. So no, development is supposed to pay for itself. Y'all should not be paying for anybody's turn lane or anything else. We'll send that over to the BCDC.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt to leave it if y'all are uncomfortable, but again, I don't think it impacts anything. After reading it and going through it, because of my knowledge about impact fees, I really just think it's.
We don't have capital recovery mechanisms to recoup the costs, correct?
Right. Now later in the document, I don't remember which one it's under, it's coming up. Where is it? So there's I think we skipped up develop a set of capital recovery table schedules that will ensure we can handle those things. That's 6.3 under goal 6. So I knew there was in there twice. So I've already, it's already saying like for police cars, for other things. And then there's also an item in here for a capital improvement plan where we're talking about our roads and how we go about repairing those and replacing those. So those are already addressed, which again, this one ends up being specific to something that we really I don't anticipate us doing.
I have no problem taking it out.
So we need to take out 6.3 and 6.9.
No, keep
6.9.
6.3 because that's the one we're talking about where I would develop tables on how we're going to
Yeah.
replace capital items as opposed to the impact fees. This one's talking about a mechanism to get more money. This one's just talking about planning so that your tax dollars are efficiently used to replace those things instead of always having to go to debt.
Is everybody okay with scratching 6.9?
Yes.
Okay, anything else through 6.15? Okay, open spaces, Thad.
Spaces actually has a definition per the EPA and other organizations. That really means public parks, public open spaces. So we've talked about other ways to address this. I propose just calling it natural features. If you look at goal 7, it even discusses the importance of the natural features and resources within the community. So I would propose changing that header to natural features, changing that next line to conservation of natural features. And then that goes right into goal 7 because open
Features.
natural features. If y'all have better ideas, I am not married to that. Just open spaces, kind of like I talked about before, it has
Sort
developers.
of relates to our tree ordinance that we,
Right, the natural features is like tree ordinance. An open space truly means a public area.
we don't want.
And again, that's when people read a document, they bring those terms with them that they've seen elsewhere. And I don't like that confusion. We faced it in Haslett. And they basically took the comprehensive plan and beat council over the head. And we ended up with 5,000 square foot lots when half acre had been the standard. So I've seen a comprehensive plan used in a way when you had a lot of flowery words and a lot of information in there, and they said, we're providing you open spaces, which you want in your plan that you've adopted. But the trade-off is I need something else in return. So that's why I would recommend just those changes are all the ones I see, Gloria.
I like natural features and it's
Better than.
mentioned in goals, in the goal 7.
Yeah.
It's mentioned again in 7.2. I think it covers it.
I didn't make it up. I was reading it.
Perfectly.
So I wasn't that brilliant. I saw it and I went, that just flows much better and it doesn't create any confusion.
So
It's
that's
better than the one I came up with.
natural features, the goal is what?
The goal would stay the same.
Conservation.
But the line above that, where you've got that conservation of open spaces, it would say conservation of natural features.
Okay,
So are we gonna strike the open spaces that's in bold?
That's my recommendation
Okay,
is to
that's
strike
what I-
open
yeah.
spaces both in that first big bold
Okay,
line and then
yeah.
the second one.
Okay, great.
that makes sense.
I was okay with everything else once that was.
We don't want to leave a lot open to interpretation.
Again, it's the plan is you want to leave some flexibility and you have it, but not those types of interpretations that lead you to try and defend something that has meaning elsewhere. That's not what we meant. Well, then it says it, and I really think I'm providing that. And for future P and Z members and council members, this kind of lays the framework.
It's a lot more clear.
That was the hope.
That's more applicable to what we're really trying
Really
to
what
do.
the-
Yeah.
Really what the whole goal, all of those objectives really lead back to that language as opposed to using something that means something else.
That took us quite painlessly, I think, through section 2,
Yes.
which
The next one will be fairly simple. Again, it is the actual land use plan. Based on surveys, based on what we've gone through, I don't anticipate there being much there, but if you would, please review section 3. Again, typos, anything that doesn't sound clear through that process. And we could attack that. You may have something on your next agenda as well besides this. We've got a few
Section.
things coming.
Land use plan.
so
Can I back up just a second on what we just finished here, talking about the natural features, you know, where I don't know how we've ever put it in there, but if somehow we could preserve, you know, corridors for wildlife moving or something like that, you know, when we talk about natural features, that's what we have in mind that,
Mhm.
you know, we don't want the deer out here to go away and all of that, but I don't know how we would ever write that into here. We talk about endangered species, but they would have to be identified. I don't know what we could ever put in there to, you know, we say ensure natural states, but so anyhow. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that or not.
But just making that note is something as we go through, again, you'll get another look at it before we, you know, decide to move it on to council. So something for everybody to think about, because I agree, you know, you're talking about not blocking off all those access points so
Right.
that there's still some.
Developers have to agree.
Oh, yeah.
But if we have it in the plan, it doesn't mean that he has to adhere to that or he or she. But certainly if they're starting to ask for anything else, that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for, I'll say, if you're looking to try and change 10 acres from, 5 to 2s, but you've got a corridor you're willing to do, that would open that up to a discussion. So that's just something that's a little more clarity.
So would it make it address Dawn if instead of developing and implementing guidelines to identify and preserve endangered species, could it not be more than just ones that are endangered?
Maybe native species or
Preserve endangered and native species of plants and animals.
Why do
Yeah.
we want to preserve necessarily endangered species, any plants and animals?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe if that
Endangered species
endanger
sort of-
wasn't there.
Limits, the deer aren't endangered.
right.
I would say take the endangered out of there.
Change it to native.
And legally endangered species have to be
Have to be
protected anyway.
Yes.
So if we dropped endangered, that would address your concern, I think.
Just put native.
Native, yes.
So
Those white deer aren't native. They got brought in there.
that's right. I actually saw those.
So why does it have to be native?
It's wildlife.
Plants and animals, or wildlife and plants and wildlife? Plants and,
Species of plants and animals. That
Yeah.
would cover.
I think
all the
so too.
animals. Yeah.
So drop endangered,
Mhm. And then species of plants and animals.
comments?
That was good.
Definitely. Okay.
Why? So that we can go shoot the white ones?
Mhm.
You're including everything that way.
Skunks,
You're talking wolves, bobcats,
okay,
snakes, whatever.
by saying, by dumping endangered. Is that bad?
Well, I think endangered is non-existent. I mean, that's already covered
Right.
by the feds.
That's why we want to scratch it.
Right.
I misunderstood you. I thought you wanted to add something in there instead of just say preserve plants and animals. Even if they aren't endangered. But they don't have to be native to here.
About the creeks, I was thinking develop and implement guidelines to preserve the natural environment. I don't know, is that broad enough? Does that do what we're trying to do? So again, if you've got creeks, waterways, certain waterways you can't build in anyway, the floodways, without tons of mitigation and lots of permitting, but the other areas that may be just floodway or flood plain, again, there may be a desire to maintain that because that somewhat is your pathway for those animals that you're talking about that are moving through here. A lot of them are coming through those creeks.
I watch development, what they often do when there's a creek. I'm thinking a place over in Corinth, and they're developing, and of course, this creek and it's this wooded area, and of course, they're building there, and civil engineers see it as a drainage problem, and it's a straight path. They're going to put concrete there, so.
That in concrete and just move it over here, then I can get 8 more lots.
Yeah, so I don't know, flora and fauna, I don't know, would you want to put those words in there or just say what, I don't know what you just said.
I just said develop and implement guidelines to preserve the natural environment, or maybe Bartonville's natural environment or something more descriptive, but either way, I can put this together based on everything, and I'm gonna send y'all a clean version. And then we can go from there. Again, as we get on to section 3, doesn't mean we don't necessarily go over, take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to go over this the next time as well with all of these changes in there.
Okay.
I kind of like that Bartonville's natural environment
Mhm.
because there's nothing left out of that.
Yeah.
Either way, we're ditching endangered.
Right.
Yes,
Okay,
and native. We're ditching both native and endangered. We're trying to get
Yes.
something a little more. It's actually more descriptive. It's Bartonville's natural environment. whether
Right,
That's
I think it
creeks,
is,
whether
yeah.
that's the trees.
The plants,
The
the
white
animals,
deer.
yeah.
and that's a good objective.
Mhm.
It is.
Okay, section 3 starts on whichever page you want, either page 15 or page 50. And it ends on page 32 or 67, depending upon which one you want to read the number on. But I don't think it's not as much as it looks like. Some of them are pretty short.
Yeah, some of those pages of the definitions are really short and there's not
Yeah.
much to do in there other than to review and make sure that it still says what we think it should.
Any other future agenda items besides section 3?
I do not know yet. There are 2 potential items coming forward. The school on CJ's Legacy. I don't know if it's going to be ready in time for the notices. And then there was the other is the corner of McMakin and Jeter where they've removed the house.
Yeah, that looks really good since that old house is gone.
Sure does.
And that new fence caught every one of the Kroger bags when that windstorm.
Oh.
Yeah. And a few baskets I saw.
What, what would? do you-
Don't know yet.
Oh.
Again, we're just talking pretty preliminary, but I know they're both kind of on go. So those might show up next
Gigantic
time.
House.
Okay. We will close the meeting at 7:47
House over there.
and see you next month.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you for coming and being our audience tonight.
It's a black house.
Ooh.